Hey guys, Brian, Andrew, and Vinny back for another Disc Golf Examiner disc review. And Vinny, we got a good one from Dynamic Disc today. What do we got?
We have the Lucid Air Defender.
Nice. Lucid Air Defender's a really overstable distance driver here for us from Dynamic Discs. I'm curious to see, we wanted to bring you in and Andrew in because you both have a much stronger arm than most players around here. So we wanted to see how you guys would throw it. What did you think of it, Vinny?
I thought it was really overstable for being such a light disc. It definitely would give you some extra distance on forehands or anything like that.
Yeah. And you play a lot in the pro division around here. Andrew, you play in the advanced division around here. What did you think of the Defender?
I was surprised right away for being 162, how heavy it actually felt. It feels much more like a 170s weighted disc just because of how the plastic is pressed out into the rim.
Mm-hmm.
So for being as light as it is, I still felt like there was a lot of weight behind the disc and I could really lay into it on some of the drives.
Very cool. Well, that's what we think of it. Let's show you how we got to those conclusions. We'll start it off by going to the profile.
The Dynamic Disc Defender in the Lucid Air Plastic is actually a lighter weight at 162 grams. The Air Plastic actually has air bubbles in the plastic in order to force the plastic to the rim of the disc. It gives it a much more stable flight. It feels softer in the hand, in the center of the plate, and with the wide rim, it really fills your hand.
On Hyzer, pretty beefy. Held the angle the whole way, never stood up, even into the headwind. It kept pushing though, got good distance for never really getting a ton of glide on the flight, but never stood up. Big finish to the left, very overstable.
The Lucid Air Defender, when thrown on a Hyzer, flipped up and it held a really overstable flight. It got about 450 feet.
Flat release, maybe a touch of Anheuser with a tailwind this time. Just flattened out, real smooth. Didn't hold the turn very long, but got flat, had a soft finish, but really held the distance. Probably pushed about 375 on a pretty straight line.
When I threw a Defender on a flat release, it got a nice turn, but finished really overstable. It doesn't really have too much glide being a flatter one, so.
Anheuser Release, almost identical distance to the flat release, just a longer turn. And then for me, it just kind of stalled out once I got out there and a little more fade. I don't think it penetrated as well as the flat to Hyzer angles.
When I threw a Defender on Anheuser, I kind of grip locked it and threw it with a lot of Anheuser, but it was fighting out of it the whole time and almost got myself an ace.
I tend to throw my forehands on Hyzer. Into the headwind, that stood up more than I thought it would, just based on how beefy it was with the backhand, but it really flattened out, even a little bit of turn. And then I kept it very low, so it didn't have a chance to fade, but it got a very straight skip at the end and tagged Brian.
And that's how we threw the Dynamic Disc Defender and the Lucid Air Plastic. I gotta say, I think it's way more overstable than the actual Defender. So that's my 2 cents on it. Anything else you guys wanted to add?
I felt like I was surprised for how stable it was, what a nice forehand disc this was. I also feel like just with the weight, once this beats in a little bit, this could be an absolute bomber of a driver.
All right, guys, well, that's going to do it for our review for this week. Remember to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and share it. We always appreciate it whenever you do that. So until next week, keep banging those chains. Yeah.
That was great.
15 takes. I got it. Woo!